The morning sun crept over Maple Ridge Lane, a quiet suburban neighborhood that looked picture-perfect from the outside. Clean sidewalks, manicured lawns, and that ever-present feeling of order the HOA loved to brag about. But behind that perfect picture was a story of control, pride, and one man who decided he wouldn't be bullied anymore. That man was Ethan Cole. Ethan had moved to Maple Ridge 3 years ago. He was a software engineer, the kind of guy who liked things calm, predictable, and safe. After a break-in at his last apartment, he'd promised himself one thing: never again without cameras. So the day he moved in, he installed a small set of security cameras, nothing fancy. One above the garage, one on the front porch, and a small one overlooking the backyard. He even set up motion lights to keep things bright. It made him feel secure, and for a while, life was perfect. Until the HOA noticed. It started with a letter. "Dear Mr. Cole, your recent installation of surveillance cameras violates HOA Policy 12.4, which prohibits devices that compromise the privacy or aesthetic harmony of the neighborhood. You are required to remove these cameras within 7 days." Ethan read it twice, confused. Compromise privacy. His cameras faced his own property. He walked outside and looked at them. Nothing was invasive. He wasn't spying on anyone. Still, he decided to be polite. He emailed the HOA president, Martha Jennings, a woman in her late 50s who treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom. "Hi, Martha. The cameras are only recording my property line for security. They don't point at any neighbors' homes. Could we discuss this before I make any changes?" He hit send, hoping reason would work. But Martha didn't want reason. She wanted control. A day later, another letter arrived, this one with fines. Failure to comply will result in a $100 fine per week until the violation is corrected. Ethan sighed. He wasn't trying to start trouble, but he also wasn't going to take down something that protected his home. He filed an appeal, printed photo evidence of the camera angles, and attended the next HOA meeting. The meeting took place in the community clubhouse, with fluorescent lights, folding chairs, and that thick air of tension that comes when neighbors turn into politicians. Martha sat at the front with her usual clipboard, glasses perched on her nose. "Mr. Cole," she said, "the board feels that your cameras make others uncomfortable. We value privacy here in Maple Ridge." Ethan stayed calm. "My cameras don't record anyone's windows or property. They're for security, nothing more." Another board member, Tom, leaned forward. "But if we let you keep yours, everyone will want one. It'll ruin the look of the neighborhood." Ethan almost laughed. "So it's about aesthetics." Martha pursed her lips. "It's about following the rules." That was it. No compromise, no common sense. The board voted 4-1. He'd have to take the cameras down or keep paying fines. So he left the meeting, frustrated but quiet. He didn't remove the cameras. He paid the first fine, then the second. He figured eventually they'd get bored of him. A few weeks later, something strange started happening in the neighborhood. Packages went missing. It began with small things: a box from Amazon, a food delivery, a new phone someone ordered. At first, everyone thought it was just bad luck. Then more reports came in. One night, Ethan's motion alert pinged at 2:17 a.m. He opened the feed on his phone, a shadowy figure creeping along the sidewalk, hood up, checking porches. Ethan zoomed in, clear face, clear detail. He called the police and sent them the footage. By morning, patrol cars lined the street. Ethan's video had captured the suspect hitting multiple houses, including Martha Jennings' porch. The thief had stolen her husband's expensive golf clubs. Within a day, police arrested the guy using Ethan's footage. Word spread fast. The same HOA that had fined Ethan for his privacy violating cameras now owed him a thank you. At first, Martha didn't say a word, but neighbors began showing up at Ethan's door, dropping off cookies, shaking his hand, thanking him for helping keep the street safe. Even Tom, the board member who had voted against him, showed up one evening with an awkward smile. "Guess your cameras weren't such a bad idea after all," he admitted. Ethan just nodded. "I wasn't trying to prove a point, I just wanted to feel safe." A week later, an email arrived from the HOA. "Dear Mr. Cole, the board has voted to revise Section 12.4 of the HOA regulations to allow private home security systems, provided they are not directed at neighboring properties. We appreciate your cooperation and your recent assistance with law enforcement." It wasn't exactly an apology, but Ethan didn't need one. The cameras stayed legally this time. Months passed, and Maple Ridge felt different. Neighbors who barely spoke before now chatted over fences. A few more installed cameras. The break-ins stopped completely. One sunny afternoon, Ethan sat on his porch, coffee in hand, watching kids ride bikes down the street. Martha walked by, hesitant, holding a small envelope. "Mr. Cole," she said softly, "I wanted to thank you. I suppose I got a little overzealous." Ethan smiled. "We all want to feel safe, Martha. Sometimes it just takes a little perspective." She nodded, handed him the envelope, and walked away. Inside was a note. "For your contribution to the community's safety, the HOA waives all previous fines." Ethan chuckled. About time. He looked up at his camera, the lens glinting in the afternoon sun. For him, it wasn't just a device. It was a symbol of standing his ground when the rules made no sense. And from that day forward, no one in Maple Ridge ever questioned another homeowner's right to protect their home. Because when trouble came knocking, it wasn't the HOA that saved them. It was the man they tried to silence.